When we speak about the 5 pillars of Islam, it is not merely a list of rituals or obligations. These pillars form the very framework of a believer's identity, structuring not only how we worship, but how we live every moment of our lives. The Shahadah, our declaration of faith, is not a sentence we utter once. It is a lifelong testimony that manifests in our thoughts, actions, and choices. Salah, our prayers, punctuate our day, reminding us of our Creator at every turning point. Zakah, fasting, and Hajj, each of these pillars, though varying in frequency, are designed to bring us back to our spiritual core, to realign us with purpose and humility. Mufti Menk often emphasizes that Islam is a way of life that demands continuity. The pillars are not seasonal acts or symbolic gestures. They are living practices, deliberately woven into the fabric of our daily existence. This is where the philosophy of frequency becomes deeply significant. Every pillar is a call to regular action, a structured rhythm that trains the soul to stay awake, conscious, and connected to Allah. You see, the human heart is prone to heedlessness. Without a system to bring us back, we drift. The 5 pillars are that divine system, a spiritual compass that recalibrates us, not once in a while, but consistently until it becomes second nature. This frequency isn't a burden, it is a mercy. It is Allah's way of giving us constant opportunities to reset, to refine ourselves, to return to Him. In a world that pulls us in countless directions, the 5 pillars anchor us. So the question each of us must ask is simple yet profound. Are we allowing the pillars of Islam to shape the frequency of our hearts, or are we letting the noise of the world set our rhythm? When we think about the frequency of the 5 pillars, Salah immediately stands out. 5 times a day, every single day, without exception. Why such repetition? Why did Allah prescribe this rhythm of prayer so intensely woven into our daily routine? The answer lies in understanding human nature. Our hearts are not static, they fluctuate. We get distracted, overwhelmed, even lost in the noise of life. Salah is designed to interrupt that cycle. It pulls us back, before dawn breaks, at midday, in the afternoon, at sunset, and at night. These moments are not arbitrary, they are perfectly spaced to realign us spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Mufti Menk often reminds us that Salah is not about fulfilling a duty for the sake of it. It's a conversation with Allah, a moment of peace amidst chaos. When performed with presence and sincerity, Salah becomes a sanctuary, a psychological anchor that keeps our souls nourished throughout the day. It teaches discipline, mindfulness, and humility, yet many of us reduce it to a mechanical act, rushing through it to tick a box. But the reality is, the frequency of Salah is not for Allah. He is free of need. It's for us. It's a chance to reset 5 times a day, to pause and recalibrate before the distractions consume us. Imagine a life where every few hours you are reminded of your purpose, your values, your connection to the divine. That's what Salah offers. It is not an interruption. It is the very structure that holds the day together. So ask yourself, is my Salah just a routine, or is it the pulse that keeps my heart alive in remembrance? Because the quality of our lives will always mirror the quality of our prayers. When we speak about Zakah, most people immediately think of an annual payment, a calculation of 5% given once a year, and then it's done. But in reality, Zakah is much more than a yearly transaction. It's a constant reminder that what we possess is not entirely ours. Allah has placed a share of the poor within our wealth, and Zakah is the minimum purification of that trust. Mufti Menk often highlights that Zakah is not just a financial obligation. It is a spiritual detox. It cleanses the heart from greed, arrogance, and the illusion of self-sufficiency. But beyond the annual Zakah, Islam opens doors to charity that can and should be done daily. Sadaqah is an opportunity that comes every moment, not necessarily in the form of money, but through a kind word, a smile, or an act of service. You see, the frequency of charity is not limited to our bank balances. It is about nurturing a heart that constantly gives, a soul that is always conscious of the needs of others. This is why Mufti Menk consistently encourages small, regular acts of giving, because it shapes our character, it softens our hearts, and it makes compassion a habit, not an occasional gesture. When we give frequently, we break the chains of materialism that often trap our souls. It is no coincidence that Zakah is called a purification. The act of giving purifies not just the wealth, but the person who gives. So the real question is this, are we using charity as a rare event to soothe our conscience, or are we embracing it as a continuous pathway to purify our hearts and uplift society? Because in the end, what we give away is what we truly keep. Fasting is often seen as something we do in Ramadan, a once-a-year spiritual marathon. But fasting, in its true essence, is not meant to be an annual visitor. While Ramadan is compulsory, the Sunnah fasts, Mondays, Thursdays, the white days of the lunar month, the day of Arafah. These are invitations to sustain the discipline of fasting throughout the year. Mufti Menk frequently points out that the wisdom of fasting is far deeper than abstaining from food and drink. It is an exercise in self-restraint, a practice of inner control over the desires that often enslave us. Psychologically, fasting disrupts our dependence on comfort and teaches us to master our impulses. Philosophically, it shifts the focus from consumption to reflection. In a world that glorifies indulgence, fasting is a quiet rebellion that reminds us, true strength lies in the ability to say no. When the soul craves indulgence, the frequency of voluntary fasting keeps that strength alive. It turns self-discipline into a habit, not a seasonal struggle. Mufti Menk emphasizes that the benefit of fasting beyond Ramadan is not about earning extra points. It's about nurturing consistency in self-awareness and gratitude. Every fast is a recalibration of our relationship with the blessings we take for granted. So, the real challenge is to move beyond a Ramadan-only mindset. Ask yourself, am I using fasting as a once-a-year ritual, or am I using it as a continuous tool to refine my soul and sharpen my discipline? Because in the silence of hunger, we hear the loudest lessons about ourselves. Hajj is often viewed as a once-in-a-lifetime journey, a grand culmination of faith. And yes, for those who are able, it is an obligation that must be fulfilled. But the lessons of Hajj are far too profound to be left as a single event in our lives. Mufti Menk often reminds us that while physically we may perform Hajj once, spiritually we are meant to carry its essence with us every single day. The humility of standing in Ihram, stripped of status and material symbols, the patience in enduring the tests of the journey, the brotherhood in seeing millions from every corner of the world united in one purpose. These are experiences designed to transform how we live after we return home. And then there's Umrah, an opportunity that, though not obligatory, is given to us to repeatedly revisit that sacred space and renew our hearts. But even if we cannot travel, the remembrance of Allah through dhikr, through repentance, through living with intention, is a way of bringing the spirit of Hajj into our daily lives. The frequency here is not in the physical journey, but in the repeated spiritual renewal that Hajj represents. Philosophically, Hajj teaches detachment from the material world and a return to the pure essence of being a servant of Allah. Psychologically, it reinforces humility and patience, virtues that are not cultivated overnight but through consistent practice. So, the question is not just have I performed Hajj, but rather, am I living its lessons every day? Because a true pilgrim is not one who has walked between Safa and Marwa once, but one whose heart constantly journeys between striving for excellence and seeking the mercy of Allah. One of the core messages Mufti Menk constantly emphasizes is the concept of *istiqamah*, steadfastness, consistency, staying upright in your faith. Islam is not built on bursts of intense worship followed by long periods of neglect. The 5 pillars are designed to cultivate a rhythm, a balanced spiritual routine that becomes part of who you are. Istiqamah is not about being perfect, it's about being persistent. It's about choosing to show up for Allah every single day, even when it's difficult, even when no one else sees. Psychologically, humans are creatures of habit. What we do repeatedly we become. If we treat the pillars of Islam as occasional acts, they will never truly shape us. But when we engage with them consistently, they begin to define our identity. Salah, fasting, charity, remembrance. These acts are meant to transform us, not through grand gestures, but through small, continuous efforts. This is why Mufti Menk often says, "Do not underestimate small deeds done with sincerity." Philosophically, istiqamah is about aligning your outer actions with your inner state. It's about living in a way where worship is not confined to rituals but extends into your character, your relationships, your ethics. The frequent practice of the pillars trains us to be mindful, disciplined, compassionate, and humble, not just during acts of worship, but in everyday life. So, here's a thought to carry with you. Are we content with occasional moments of faith? Or are we striving to build a life where faith is our default setting? Because in the end, Allah doesn't look for perfection in us. He looks for consistency, sincerity, and hearts that keep turning back to Him, no matter how many times they fall. When we think about the frequency of the 5 pillars, Salah immediately stands out. 5 times a day, every single day, without exception. Why such repetition? Why did Allah prescribe this rhythm of prayer so intensely woven into our daily routine? The answer lies in understanding human nature. Our hearts are not static, they fluctuate. We get distracted, overwhelmed, even lost in the noise of life. Salah is designed to interrupt that cycle. It pulls us back. Before dawn breaks, at midday, in the afternoon, at sunset, and at night. These moments are not arbitrary, they are perfectly spaced to realign us spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Mufti Menk often reminds us that Salah is not about fulfilling a duty for the sake of it. It's a conversation with Allah, a moment of peace amidst chaos. When performed with presence and sincerity, Salah becomes a sanctuary, a psychological anchor that keeps our souls nourished throughout the day. It teaches discipline, mindfulness, and humility, yet many of us reduce it to a mechanical act, rushing through it to tick a box. But the reality is, the frequency of Salah is not for Allah. He is free of need. It's for us. It's a chance to reset 5 times a day, to pause and recalibrate before the distractions consume us. Imagine a life where every few hours you are reminded of your purpose, your values, your connection to the divine. That's what Salah offers. It is not an interruption. It is the very structure that holds the day together. So ask yourself, is my Salah just a routine, or is it the pulse that keeps my heart alive in remembrance? Because the quality of our lives will always mirror the quality of our prayers.